Hello and welcome to another video of me messing about with this truck. So, as you know, it's getting there now. We're getting a lot closer now. I'm just currently putting the front end all together. The inner wheel tubs have all been Gravitexed again. Just literally lining everything up now. There's probably about 400 million bolts that hold this front end on. Luckily, they're all the same bolt, but lining it up. A car this old, if you ever lined up body panels on something this old and like mess about with, they never line up. There's always something that's like tweaked or doesn't work, or there's a snap bolt in here and a snap bolt in there. It's not the easiest, but that's what I'm doing now. I'm not going to be here all day because Formula One's on. As you probably tell if you watch the videos that I like Formula One, so I don't miss any of it. But yeah, front wheel tubs on. I'm just about to put the front panel on, then get the wings on. There's lots of little bolts underneath here, like all the way down that edge, everything like that. I'm also going to get the engine fully plumbed in again, radiator in, etc, etc. Just like that. Yeah, so everything is on. Everything's painted, everything is trimmed out to allow the wheel to go high. Yeah, everything's done. I've just tidied up some wires here and there, got everything else wired in, plumbed the air in temporarily. Don't worry, these are going to get shielded up or something. And yeah, the truck is now ready to go on the ramp. Now, I've been tidying up this morning because I don't know if you've noticed in the background, it is a bomb site, and that's because I'm a messy person in general. But the reason it's on the ramp, I've got to weld the underside of the notches, and if I can do it at this height and not laying on my back, that would be good. Number two, obviously this is pretty much aired out on the back. I haven't got any bags on it at the minute because we're still waiting for some bag brackets. We're not driving with this California squat. Yeah, there's still room that needs to be made underneath the truck because at the minute it won't actually air out much more than it was before it actually turned up. So I'll show you that now. Yeah, it's quite low, but obviously definitely not what we're aiming for here. If you get underneath here, you can see the reason why that gearbox mount is on the floor considerably, and the rear cross member as well. So they're the things that are stopping this car or truck dropping from where we need it to go. Obviously the subframe is off the floor quite a bit, cross member on the floor. So get it on the ramp today, get that cut out and try and make a new one and try and utilize the original mounts. We'll see how it goes. That took me way too long to get the truck up there, and it's nothing to do with the truck itself. It's me being an idiot, I think. I'm not quite sure, but we had a problem with the shifter culprit there. It went over center and it was locked into reverse gear, and there were some weird things going on, and I couldn't unseize it from reverse gear. I had to pull the shifter apart and try and figure out why it was locked into gear, but got it into gear eventually and got it moving. Right, so you can probably see the gearbox cradle there is absolutely 7 miles lower than it should be. We've touched the gearbox there as well, and there, and this cross member as well. So this cross member, straight across, needs to be done there, and then you need to do the same on this one. And then we have this little brace here, which holds the handbrake cable mechanism. It's actually bolted on, and what I can do is I can take that out, put it on top, and that should be clear alone. But on this one, what I'm going to do is prop the gearbox up, cut this out, both sides, try and use this bottom section and reintroduce it onto another mount and raise the gearbox up, above the chassis rail. Because if you see, my head, oh. That hurts so bad, that hurts so bad. The chassis rail and the sill are pretty much in line. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. And on the rear, I'll just go over it quickly. Obviously, it needs to be flush. This bit's flush, so I can get a dead straight line across all the way along. Hopefully flatten the bottom of this up with some decent plate. We'll be golden. We'll be golden. But yeah, the main problem is this and the gearbox cradles that stops the whole truck laying out on the floor. So let's get into it. Right, so you can see here, I've got this bit of flat angle iron. Flat against the chassis rail, flat against the chassis rail. And then we're literally just touching the gearbox. And you can see how high the gearbox is now compared to what it was. So yeah, cut this out, cut the bottom out, cut the top out, take this whole section out, clean it up, and then I think I'm going to use some box section and then move this piece of the gearbox cradle. I'll show you how I do it in a second. Right, that's cut out there. As you can see, there's some left in there, and that is for a purpose. So if you look here, that is pretty much flush. Well, it's a little bit higher than the chassis rail. Now, I left that in there because by fluke accident, all right, this box section bosh. So, pretty simple really. I'm gonna get this box section and that's gonna go obviously dead straight across. Then I can weld this gusset to it, and then hopefully, once I clean this up, I can shoehorn that around the box and weld that to the box section. And then we've got one raised cross member, which is all squared up quite nicely. To be honest, my plan didn't work straight away in my head, and now I've had a little bit of a brain fart. Because what I'm trying to do is the nicest looking way possible, proving quite difficult. So, I don't know. Like I said, the box section did fit in here, but because this is sort of a curve there, it wouldn't fit square into here. So I couldn't do that one where it all goes together, which I wasn't too sussed about. And I found this, which is what we did the bed with, and that fits perfect in there. I'm thinking if I weld along down here and then trim it out to here something, I can make it work that way. It's a bit of a weird one. I'm trying to just figure it out as I go along. Try to do something that looks good at the same time. But you've also got to get access to the bolts just there. So, yeah, not ideal. So yeah, I'm just sort of figuring it out. I think it's easier to just take it out. That'll definitely be low, won't it? That'll do. I'll hold it up. That's a lie. It's 7:30 and I'm going home. That's all Gravitex. I'll put it in the car. Not gonna lie, it took me so much longer than I anticipated to do that. There's so many different factors that I needed to anticipate beforehand. So trying to just quickly do a gearbox mount didn't exactly go to plan, and I was struggling to figure it out, but I managed to get it done. It is extremely tight to get up in here, like really tight to get up in here, but the main priority was it had to be an unboltable piece. Now, the fact that it needs to be unboltable is mainly because of it's so raised up now. If it wasn't raised up, then I could have just welded it in. which is exactly what the old one was. It was riveted in to the chassis and it never came out. But because we're raising it 2 inches or so, I can't not make it removable, because you wouldn't be able to get the engine out if that was the case. Like, this actually sits like up here. That's where it goes across there. And if it wasn't removable, you wouldn't be able to get this part of the gearbox out. You'd have to take the gearbox off, I think, to take the gearbox out. So yeah, it would have been a bit of a nightmare just to get it to work. So now, bolts in here, using the original mounts, well, the riveted pieces, they bolt into there like that. Yeah, basically, when it's dry and it's on the truck, I'll show you. But it's basically, I wanted to make it look original, but at the same time be like 2 inches raised. And I think I've nailed that. I think it looks original. When it's in, I don't think you'll even notice it's a raised cross member unless you knew trucks. To the blind eye, I think it looks pretty factory, I'm not gonna lie. And that's purely because I used pretty much all the original metal in it and just redesigned it, reshaped it, used a bit of box section in there at the same time to triangulate all the mounting points. But yeah, once that's dry, I'll get it in there, get it bolted in, and that's one thing ticked off the list. And then the next one is just to flatten off that back one. It's literally just going to be a flat plate all the way across, raise the center prop bearing, but I'll show you that when it's done. I don't even know where I last filmed on this. Actually, I do as well. I just filmed it a minute ago. What point I'm trying to say is, I'm knackered and it's taken me forever to do absolutely everything. So this video is actually going to be pretty rubbish because of the fact that I haven't actually shown you how I've done any of it, but just mumble a bit. But I'll give you a quick brief overview now. Cross member on, chassis rail flush. There we go. So yeah, everything is above the chassis rail now. This is sort of pieced together, this mount. I used obviously the middle bit, and then I used the original braces that were there, and then I tweaked them like 180, I think I did. And then bent them into this shape so it follows that. And then there's a box section that goes up, joining it from here to triangulate the mount, and then just some gussets over the top to clean it all up. And I'd say it looks pretty factory if you ask me. If you didn't know, I don't think you'd know, to be honest. It's all blended in quite nicely. So I'm pretty pleased with that. Honestly, it took me way too much time, but when you're doing stuff like this, it's just sort of like, oh, I can't see it in my head, and I can't see it for ages and ages and ages. And then all of a sudden I go, click, I get it, I understand. So yeah, and it also bolts in here. There was rivets in there before, but it bolts in there now. Temporarily spaced up the handbrake mechanism with some extra bolts. I'm going to get some spacers when I get the time, but yeah, that's just raised up, cleared. Flat plate, as you can see, flat plate all along the bottom of here. I've raised the center prop bearing at the same time. Yeah, that's completely flattened off at the bottom now, so that's all like seam welded at the top. You probably can't see it, to be fair, but I've gravitexed it, but seam welded all the way along the back, and then it's welded along the seam there, and then on the back side as well. It is checker plate, but it was all that they had left without buying a full sheet, and realistically it doesn't matter. But yeah, the bottom of the car is completely, or truck is completely flush now. Absolutely everything is out of the way to clear. Any more than this, if you want it any lower than it's going to be now, you have to body drop it basically. I haven't actually looked, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to modify the top of the tunnel. Yeah, see, it's just, I think it's pushing on the top of the tunnel. I've literally put my hand through the gearbox tunnel. So, whatever that looks like, I'm going to have to modify it. And as you can see here, This is the clutch fork for the gearbox, and that's going to hit the bulkhead. So I need to sort that out as well. It's actually beating me, this car. Absolutely beating me. I've hit my head on here twice today, and I'm swollen up from the head. So I've got a headache, pissed off for this car, etc. I keep calling it a car, but it's a truck. It's currently like 8 o'clock on a Tuesday night, and I go to Poland in 2 days, and I still need to finish this rear end. Watts link, new bag mounts that go here, because, well, these current ones that we got on there don't allow the truck to go low enough. And I've also got to weld the middle of the notch in there, so yeah, lots to do. Next Friday is when this needs to be leaving the workshop. At least. Fuck. I'm a one-man band, and I can't wait for this truck to be done. I can't stress enough how much this truck is beating me at the minute. Like 13, 14 hour days. It is quite literally the most work I've ever taken on any car ever, and it's not even my own car. So yeah, I also look homeless. So thanks for watching. Goodbye.